Alright, so we got the surround processor board in the amplifier. Got ready to test it out, and I found out that it still suffers from a right channel issue. When you put it in stereo mode, it seems to work, both left and right, but when you put it in surround sound, Pro Logic, the right channel just sits there and hums. So, yeah, we got another issue here, and I don't know if it's a connection issue or something else, but I'm going to bring you up to speed. We're going to go through the schematic, and we're going to trace the signals down, the signal path, and when I get to a point, I'll bring you up to speed where I'm at now, and we'll see what we can do from there. So, all right, so let's go to the schematic real quick. Come on, load up. All right. So now we're looking at the block diagram. And what we're looking for, this is the I/O panel on the back of the receiver. Right here is PWOO. And what we'll see is everything that comes from an audio source comes in through here. And if we look right here, we'll see J601. 1 through 3, you get left, ground, and right. This is your signal into the processor board. And we want to make sure we have signal from this point to this point on both pins. So let's look at J601. So let's go to the microscope here, and we'll see if we can get a shot of 601. So that's J601 right there. So basically it looks like we have a ground in the center and a right and left audio channel. So let's go to the test equipment. And we'll get this microscope out of the way real quick. And we're going to set up a 1 kilohertz signal, 200 millivolt peak to peak. I'm going to turn that channel on. And I have this going into the CD input of the receiver. Alright, so now we're going to turn the receiver on. And we'll zoom down, see if we can get this shot in here a little bit better. Now we're in Pro Logic mode, and we have audio on the left channel, but not the right. So we're going to probe the input. I'm going to turn this down a bit. We're going to probe the input to this board from the input panel jack set. All right, we got our 1 kilohertz signal there. That's the right and the left. All right, so the signal is at least making it to the board. So that's a good thing. All right. So now we got to trace back where the signal goes from there. All right, so let's go back to the desktop. So we know that it gets to this point. All right. So let's find J601 on the processor board. And it's right over here on the left-hand side. So it comes in on both left and right, and it uses each channel uses 1 channel of the op amp, of the dual op amp. So what we're going to do now is we're going to check to make sure we have signal in on pin 5 and pin 3. But to skip this step, we can actually just test the outputs of the op amps themselves, which is pin 1 and pin 7. But to even bypass that even further, we can just go right over here to the IC here that it gets injected into, which is TC9162N IC, which is part location Q. Is it Q602? Does that looks like what it says? I believe that's what it says. And we're gonna see it comes up, the signal comes in through this cap, and it goes on pin 5 and pin 2. So let's get the microscope over here and let's take a look at this IC. See if we can get a shot of what it looks like in its location. So this is the pin here that we want to check is 1, 2, 2, and 5. So I want to check 2, 3, 4, 5. And look, you'll notice that they're actually jumped together here as it depicts on the schematic. And the other one is this one here where it's, what would I say, 27 and 24, was it? Yep, 27 and 24. So these are the left and right channel inputs to this IC. So I'm going to go to the test equipment here, and we'll get this microscope out of the way so I can actually show you the test equipment. So I can show you the scope there. So now we're going to test. Let's see if we can do. Let's go back to the schematic real quick. We're going to check. Whoop. We're going to check 2 and 5 first. So let's go over here. Alright, so let's check 2 and 5, see what we get for a signal. Okay, we have a signal there. That's good. That is the left channel on pin 2. Let's check it on pin 5. Same signal. Alright, so it's making it there. So we've gone through the op amp at this point, and one channel of the op amp and into the IC. Let's check the input of the left channel. Right channel. And go to pins 27 and 24. Here's pin 27 right there. We've got that. And 26, 25, 24. So the signal is getting into that IC. So that's good too. Now let's see if we can get a signal out of this IC. So let's go back to the schematic and see what we can find out about that. It doesn't really show a very good indication of an output anywhere on this. So what we can do is we can actually work our way backwards. So we're going to go over to let's see. Let's go back to the block diagram and see what we can find out about how the signal gets out. Alright, so the signal gets out. Let's see. Want to look for surround channels on P600. And it looks like right here, is it J605? This is a schematics, a little bit of a tough read, but it looks like J605. We got front left, ground, front right, front center, rear left, rear right. And we have J602, which seems to have the same exact pinout. So these two look like they are one of the same. They may be connected internally, on this board, which it appears like they might be because they're identical. So let's go to the schematic and see if we can find out about that. So let's go over to that. Wrong one. Let's back out. Let's see if we can find where that is. Okay. Here are the two connectors here. And they do appear to be bridged across each other. So we're gonna try and see what we get off these pins. Let's see, we have front left, front right, so on 1 and 3. So let's see if we can actually get a microscope shot of this connector. It might be a little bit tough, but this is right where it goes out to the amplifier, it appears. So let's bring the microscope over a bit and see if we can actually possibly get an eyeball on this connector. Alright, these are the connectors right here. J003 and J602. There's a bit of stuff in the way here that I cannot move because it's part of the chassis, but they are right next to each other, so that would explain why they are easily bridged across, because they're signal ins, and it looks like they're grabbing the signal and just passing it through this cable to cable. So what I'm going to do is get off of this microscope and go back to the test equipment camera, and we're going to scope that output of the front left, see what we get. Alright, we got a good signal here. Okay, we got a signal. Now let's go to the front right, which is the third pin. Nothing. So that definitely shows what we're hearing is absolutely nothing. So now we can trace ourselves backwards like we wanted to do to be able to find out what output is on that IC, so we can test that IC for an output. So the problem is between these 2 points somewhere. So let's trace this. Go back to the desktop. Right. All right, so we know front right is attached to each other across those connectors. So if we follow that all the way over here, it appears that it goes over and it goes into this terminal A, or this A virtual connection. So let's find A on the other part of the schematic and see where that goes. So we have A, and we have, it looks like, for A for front right, and we have front left. We'll have to go to the other side of the print. It looks like it comes over and goes to D. So we have A and D for front left and front right. Did I say that right? Is A front right? Yep. A is front right, D is front left. Alright, so now let's go back to the original schematic we were looking at for that IC. And look what we find here. A and D. Front right, R-con, and D comes up and goes over to L-con. So our outputs are 4 and 24. 25. So let's probe 4 and 25 on that same IC, and we'll see what we get. Let's go back to the test equipment camera. So let's test the working channel that we know works, which is the left, and that's pin 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, we got a signal. So that channel is passing through correctly through this IC. Let's go to 25. Let's see, 28, 27, 26, 25. Oops, 28, 27, 26, 25. Well, there's nothing coming out of that. There's an issue right there. So, we may have a problem with this IC. I'm not 100% sold on that yet though, but it appears to be that way, because we are getting a signal in and a signal out on one channel and not the other. So let's go back to the schematic here and take a look at something. Now if you notice that there is no digital switching of this chip, there's a clock and a data signal. So this is taking information on a serial communication, it appears, of some sort. So it appears that it gets talked to via data, not over a regular simple on-off switch. Let's go to the data sheet on this. And let's see what we can find out about this thing. Okay, yeah, serial data right here. The analog switches are controlled by serial data. Yeah. So we're kind of screwed there for testing, turning on certain functions of the chip. So there is some serial data being communicated. That is there. So I'm leaning towards that this might be a possibility, that this IC Q602 is possibly no good. And I had ordered a whole set of chips for this whole entire Luxman receiver surround board, and wouldn't you know it, these two chips I can't find. I don't know where they are. I don't know if I even received them. I'm on a massive hunt for them, so because I would like to just swap this out, see if that fixes the issue before I fall down a rabbit hole and just start leading myself into other directions that may not be correct. So I'm going to do a little bit more hunting for this tonight and tomorrow morning, because it's getting kind of late now to proceed with this. But so yeah, so that's where I'm at right now with troubleshooting the rest of the issue with this. So it appears, like I said, we're getting the signals in and we're not quite getting the signal out. There may be something that's grounding out this signal while this mode is on. I have not determined that there's another op amp somewhere else that may be shorted out, that may be pulling this output to ground or something like that, because stupid stuff like that can really set you back too. And there is another, if I can't find the new components to replace this, there is another one on this board. So let's take a look here. There's another one right here. So what I can possibly do is, if I can't find the chips, I can possibly swap these two chips out and put one in the other position and this one in the original position, and see if a problem changes. See if something changes. If something changes, then I can pretty much guarantee that the IC that I moved to this position has failed. So that is one option I can try if I cannot find the components. So yep, that's where I'm at, and we'll see what we can do in the next video. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow or something. I'll get some ambition and yank this board back out and swap these ICs, or see if there's any connection. Or at least pull them up and maybe see if there's any connection issues under the ICs. Maybe there's another VIA issue. Who knows? But yeah, so that's where I'm at, guys. And you know, if you hang in there, maybe we'll fix this thing. Who knows? But all right. So if you like your videos, subscribe, come back, and we'll see you in the next.